Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JKWD podcast where we are still at home.
Yes, we are.
Anybody all bruised up from bouncing off the walls? Broken bones? Everybody okay?
I know a lot of people who tell me they're bouncing off the walls.
All right.
I'm not, strangely enough. I think
Yeah,
I'm
well, this.
weird.
I mean, considering that you were not leaving the house very much anyway, this probably hasn't affected you. Just doing those out of the house meetings on Zoom and you're done.
Yeah.
But we're recording on Friday, April 3rd. This will release probably about the 13th of April. So if I've got my calendar correct in my head, I don't know why I still have the days straight. A lot of people don't right now. But, situations are unlikely to change in the next 10 days. So um, yeah, if we reference the current status of things under the 2019 novel coronavirus, COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2, then it probably will still stand. You'll understand, unless you're listening to this in like 3 years, and you'll be like, I remember that thing. Kelvin, how you doing?
Doing good, sir. Doing good. Enjoying life, doing my normal thing here. I got glass on my window so I can look outside and see if there is a world out there.
Yeah. So I'll compliment you on your finding virtual backgrounds in Zoom. I dialed in today while you were off getting coffee or whatever you were off doing, and he got a conference room
Oh,
background.
well, you know what? I'm a photographer, right? So from time to time, we gather things for regular photography. So I found a folder in my royalty free um, photo directory of green screen backgrounds.
There you
So
go.
that if we were going to do something with actual photo images, we could do that. And I'm like, that sounds like some good stuff to use on my Zoom virtual background. Oh yeah. So this morning, I mean, I'm looking pretty darn. If I had my suit back on, it's a great boardroom I've got there, waiting for the rest of the people to come in, and I own this humongous company that's looking out great windows at beautiful outside stuff, which is not what we've got right now.
Well, I
Thank
mean,
you so much.
yeah,
I can also take a photo and do it because we can use any photo with this one
yeah.
as long as we have a green screen. So I ended up.
Or interestingly, you can do it with a solid colored wall too. And I have solid colored walls in here, and but I have stuff hanging, so that kind of interrupts. I, I feel like I should turn my computer screen around for you because my the window I look out of has like a rose bush right here, and trees over there, and another bush over here, and occasionally I see a bird flying by, and that's my actual view. So, um,
Um, I don't quite have that. Mostly, I get the street and the mailman driving by, and these days, people who occasionally take out their small kids and animals for a walk around the neighborhood. Once they go away and the wind's had a chance to move the germs, I can go out and walk on
there you
my
go.
own.
Well, I got to tell you, as we stand, it's been a little over, yeah, 2 weeks and a day. So we're 15 days into Jenny being home with me
Hmm.
and the baby. We set something up where I get to leave once a week to go grocery shopping. Jenny gets to leave once a week to pick up some lunch.
Hmm.
And she's had to run a couple other errands this week, so she's been out the house 3 times. Um,
Cool.
yeah. we've been supporting our favorite deli around the corner
Hmm.
from our house. We put in our order in the morning, have it scheduled for noon, so that uh, you they can safely have it put aside for us, and we don't have to we don't have to hand anybody a payment card because we paid online, and we don't have to you know touch anybody's hand accidentally while they're handing over food. Just we walk in and we look at Bill sitting there, and he says thank you so much, and we say thank you so much, and and
Well,
we get to help keep them open too. If you're in the Savannah area listening to that's Rockies and Savannah, um, over in the Norwood shops, so go support them. We like them a lot. uh, Not an ad. Speaking of ads, we should probably do that ad, huh?
sure.
Since we do actually have a sponsor, uh, I haven't heard from them in a while, so hopefully they're doing okay and still shipping.
Yeah, I was
But
going to say, check the website and make sure it's still up.
yeah, um, there are a lot of people having, yeah, a lot of people like the mail order thing, but they forget that people at mail order places actually have to put the things in boxes or envelopes and ship them off. So there's that to deal with too.
Hmm.
But our friends at Kettle and Fire, they're shipping some wonderful bone broth and soup around the world. Their bone broth, uh, they use free range organic animals, well, dead ones. They were free range and organic when they were alive. It would be really awful of them to just be like putting live chickens and live cows in
It would be a
vats,
bad thing.
and boiling them to death. They're not doing that.
I don't think that would be kosher either.
Um, so what they do is they after the after the animals are slaughtered, they boil the bones for 10 or more hours alongside organic veggies and herbs, and they have these delicious broths and soups that you can buy without having to leave the comfort of your house, which you're supposed to do right now anyway, apparently. So they'll just leave it on your, well, they'll hand it to somebody to leave on your porch for you or in front of your door or however it works. If you live where I live, all of the delivery drivers like to leave stuff just outside the door in such a way that it can't actually open the screen door. Sometimes
That's
I actually have to go
security.
out the sometimes I actually have to go out through the garage and around and move it out the way of the door. But
That's
anyway, that's not Kettle and Fire's fault. And if you want 10% off of your Kettle and Fire order, when you go to check out, you can use code BetterHumanhood, and they will give you that 10% off. It's kettleandfire.com, kettleandfire.com. Code BetterHumanhood will get you 10% off at checkout. Let's do the show. Welcome to the Josh and Kelvin World Domination Podcast, where we talk about better humanhood and teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go. We've been talking a lot, we being just people in general,
Hmm.
about how tough it is to stay at home, and like we're not used to it. We're not used to not being able to go where we want and do what we want to do, and go to work.
Hmm.
um, and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of good coming out of right now, I think, too. And we haven't talked about that enough.
No.
Some of the good, I think, is an interpersonal thing, and I think we've mentioned that the last couple of episodes too. I check on if I'm going to a grocery store, I call my neighbor. I say, "Hey, you don't need to leave your house. You're elderly, cancer survivor. what do you need? And so, we get, we get our neighbors stuff if they need it. We check in, and we've been having. Usually we have my sister's family over on Friday nights for dinner, but uh, we've been doing Zoom calls for that instead, so we can bring like 20 people in instead of just 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even have to buy extra food. All I have to
That's
do is put
even
the
better.
laptop on. All I have to do is put the laptop on the corner of the table. We get to see everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's some of the basic good stuff. Um, this is we really have the opportunity right now to fundamentally change some of the way our country works. Uh, yeah, and work being one of them. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people are working from home who haven't been allowed to work from home before, and we might find that people don't need to be in offices.
Well, the real
People,
estate people are gonna be really upset.
people can work from home, and maybe those companies that had been averse to it because being in the office was the way they'd always done things. Maybe now that they've seen that people can be productive working from home, maybe they'll be like, hey, why don't we just rent a conference room and once a week, and get everybody together. And apart from that, maybe we'll just team up with a co-working space, and if people want a place to come, they can. But we don't need to have everybody in one place all the time. It's not any better. And so there's an opportunity for major change right there, along with finding out what really can be automated, and what doesn't require as much human intervention as people, as companies lay off a lot of people right now. Um, some of them still trying to keep the doors open.
Yeah, I think they still got some, and I'm not sure how they're working on the short term. Some security issues for some jobs and stuff like that. But still, um, some people would work better from home. Some people don't. When I first retired from my day job, which was working 16 years at University Hospital here locally, uh, and I was an entrepreneur. When I first, there's a discipline required when you're working from home and you're an entrepreneur, because when you're at work in a building with a bunch of other people, they set up expectations and people to watch and stuff like that. So it takes a mindset change, not just a location change, but a mindset change to be able to do that and not mess up. Because
Well,
man,
it does that not just as an entrepreneur, but as an employee
yeah,
too.
yeah. So
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. But still, I mean, look at the overhead they could eliminate
yeah.
from their bottom line and stuff. So I think it's
But then
kind of cool.
also the flexibility they can offer is, if you go into the office, then you're working a specific shift, right?
Hmm.
We expect you to be here from 8 to 5 or whatever, and you can have a 1 hour break. Um, but what happens, you know, if most things you need to do are not tied to the time you do it? You know, if a lot of the work can be done at 4 o'clock in the morning, or 9 o'clock in the morning, or 7 p.m., what if that 8 to 5 slot, A, some of it maybe not convenient, but B, some of it not productive?
Hmm.
People have different rhythms, and we know that 1 to 3 p.m. slot or so,
Hmm.
we know that most people's circadian rhythms dip right in that time. Half of Europe goes on siesta for a couple hours. Half of they close. Um, that's not because they're lazy. That's because, hey, this is a non-productive time in our day. If we close for a couple hours and then work until 7, say, and then have dinner, we're in much better shape. We're much more productive workers, and um, maybe we're going to see some more flex opportunities for people as well, even if it means hey, uh, you still have these deadlines. Like if you're running payroll, it's got to be in at 3 o'clock on Thursday.
Mhm.
Uh, but we don't care when you do most of your work. Maybe we have a 10 a.m. check-in, whether it's via Zoom or FaceTime or Microsoft Teams or Slack or whatever. Everybody just plan to get together. But hey, if you need to set up a doctor's appointment or whatever, go ahead. Just make sure you hit your deadlines.
Could be cool. Could be cool.
Yeah, and I think it's what we saw as possibilities like 20 years ago, and still hasn't. When the internet first hit, and it still hasn't caught on because we assume that people will be lazy if not watched all the time.
Yeah, we do that, and I think it might be to a large extent accurate because people haven't been in the mindset to do that, but they're kind of forced in the mindset right now
Right.
just because of what's going on. So, but I've seen a lot. Um, some people are finding it's working just fine. I mean, I happen to know a lot of people who have a ridiculous amount of discipline and they feel a lot of responsibility for the stuff they're doing. And the typical wage earner thing kind of builds in different stuff. You got to watch. The boss is going to come by. You got to be doing that. You got to be doing that. When you start doing that stuff on your honor and your productivity and your money is tied to it, because the only thing I
Well,
see
yeah.
is
Hey,
when
if you don't hit your deadlines, then you don't get your paycheck. Or you don't get to keep your job if you don't hit your deadlines. As a boss, if the work is getting done,
Mhm.
or at least you should. If your
Unless you're
boss is
me.
any good at your job, you should know whether the work's getting. If the work's not getting done, somebody's going to step on
Yeah.
it, right? And if somebody's creating a bottleneck, um, hey, I was trying to do my work, but Janine isn't answering her emails. Hasn't been available for 3 days. It's up to the boss to go find Janine and be like, hey, you're holding up the works. What's going on?
Mhm.
But we also might find out that the reason that people get lazy about it or appear to be lazy and is that most of what you give people to do is busy work and doesn't require 8 hours a day to do.
Mhm.
But
Could be some of that.
that's what you gotta pay people to manage to get good talent, right?
That's what they say. So, with all this stuff going on, have you, and you being the incredibly observant guy that you are, have you noticed any trends, any favorable trends that have come out of this? We want to call it an ordeal. This experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, most of it has to do with connecting. I see a lot of people having Zoom calls. We had a full family Zoom call on Monday. The cousins said, "Hey, everybody, let's get together and chat." We've been doing Zoom calls on Friday nights with the family
Mhm.
for dinner, and we have another friend who said, "Oh, let's do a half-hour call on Saturday night before the kids go to bed." They're going to set that up as a regular thing. Um, it probably will have already hit by the time this comes out. But Cal Fussman, who heads up the Big Questions podcast,
Mhm.
says, "Hey, I want to get our listeners together for Zoom meals. Let's let's make that happen. Send us an email if you're interested. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for building community, and yeah, I've seen, not just us dropping toilet paper off for our neighbor, but yeah, I've seen people say, "Hey, I have a lemon tree. Uh, I'm not going to use all these lemons. Let me know if you want lemons. I will come drop them next to your mailbox or outside your door. We don't have to, you know, we'll keep our distance. We don't have to meet. I'm just going to leave them there. You let me know if you want them, and I'll bring a bag by." I've seen uh, pictures from my friend in San Francisco who took a picture of a, a tree in her neighborhood where somebody had tied a box around the tree and um, oh hey, here's some sourdough starter if you just take some. And occasionally I'll check occasionally, there might be treats in here for you. And so there are people doing positive, connect with other people things. There are people doing anonymous good deeds. you, I think it's going to stay. I wonder if people are finally sick of the tether in their pocket, um, and they're wanting connection. They get to actually get together and be together for a bit and connect, even if that's through a screen. And when this is when it's safe to get back out in crowds, I don't there's a chance that people might not want to gather in big crowds again. People might say, I don't want to go to a 30,000 seat arena. I don't know what people have. But people are going to go out and they're going to hug their neighbors like, hey, it's good to be next to you.
Yeah, I in my Toastmasters world, well, most of my worlds actually, I'm pretty much known as the hugger. So in my Toastmasters group, we had a meeting last night and we're talking about we got to get back to having meetings because I need to get a hug from Kelvin. And even a couple of guys, yeah, I hug that guy because he's so cool. But yeah, that kind of stuff I'm seeing. In some ways, I think being deprived of the ability, um, even if you didn't like the situation you were in, when you just have to stick around your place and do nothing but wait, it kind of creates well, maybe I didn't miss that. Maybe I didn't dislike that as much as I thought I did, kind of
Mm-hmm.
a thing. And
Yeah,
so that's
absence
kind of
does make the heart grow fonder, right?
yeah. I mean, I've been working on my own for a long time, so I can sit in a room for forever. I love people. when I go out and get in people, I get with people. But when I come home, I'm home, and it's okay. But
Yeah, I've been working my day job remotely for 8 years. So
and for those of us
this
who
doesn't
can't,
change that much. uh, but I'm also seeing people pick up new hobbies.
yep.
I'm seeing people make things. I'm seeing people volunteer for things.
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot of people learning. People like, oh, I want to pick up a book.
I've done some of that too. And then when you don't have, there's something to be wrong. You'd be surprised. Well, maybe you won't. Who you think of to go, maybe I should check on that person. Yeah. When nothing was wrong ever, you had just assumed everything was always going to be good. But now in the day and age when you can walk outside your door to get your mail and walk past the wrong person, and I don't mean to put that out there as kind of a scare thing, but reality
Yeah.
being, you start thinking about people like, I haven't heard from them in a long time. Maybe I should check and see if they're okay. Because before I just assumed they were okay. There was nothing going on. And
Right.
then they just pop in your mind. And I've had a couple of those things happen. It's like, man, I just hadn't heard from you in a while. How you doing? And I've had the same thing happen. So I have seen in some cases like your family gathering where your family gathered anyway,
Right.
routinely. But for mine, we kind of have a running iPhone chat thing, kind of just texting back and forth to different groups of us. But to sit down and have quote unquote sit down and have a conversation face to face, because that daily chat thing through is not like a gathering. It's just a check-in thing. So
Right.
working on doing that kind of thing too. So I've seen people get closer this way, and once we put the meetings, the face-to-face meetings together, then it's even better. It's like, oh man, I forgot how much I actually like being around you.
Right.
So there's kind of some of that other stuff. So lots of ingenuity for people doing things they hadn't done before. I was walking around my neighborhood the other day, and if you subscribe to my Vitamin K, you heard about this, but you didn't. And I was walking down the street, and this house had a bunch of balloons and signs out in front, and cars would slow down and stop, and they blowing their horns and stuff. And I'm like, wondering what that's all about. And I went up the street a little bit, and the people had put signs out in the yard and balloons and everything. It's like, this is my son's 5th birthday. Stop, honk your horn. And people were actually stopping and honking their horn. No exchange of germs, no exchange of anything, but still you got to participate in little boy's joy for having a birthday. Five's a big birthday.
Yeah.
And made me wish I was driving, as a matter of fact. But I figured if I stood out there and just pretended to be a horn, I'd look stupid. So I didn't do that.
Hey, nobody would have known unless they were like, what's that? What is that
honk,
car?
Honk. No. Oh,
what is that car with that quiet little horn?
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. I was kind of enthused by that bit of ingenuity on the part of the parents there. And I said, oh, that was pretty cool. So, and we're seeing stuff like that all over. So,
I think there are a couple of other things I think that are going to come out of this that are more on the consumer side. We're on the non-consumer side. And we've talked about this before, is we're going to stop buying things just in time. At least those of us who are able.
Yeah.
That we're not going to be like, oh, I need XYZ now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, fresh fruits and vegetables and meats you can't keep around for months, but
that's tougher. Yeah.
One of the things that people are having problems with, you see toilet paper towels have gone out. It's been a problem for a long time now, and people keep wondering why. Well, it's because, especially in larger cities, it's a problem, because if you're getting SNAP assistance, food stamps,
mm-hmm.
You're not allotted that much. You might only be able to buy like 1 6-roll packet at a time or 1 12-roll packet at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to get toilet paper once every 2 weeks or once a month. And you can't, it's just not in the budget to have it hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
You also need space to store it. Not everybody lives in a house with a garage or a basement and that kind of thing. So some of that's still going to be an issue, but I think we're going to see more people planting. We're going to see more gardens.
I'm not doing that.
Doesn't help people in colder climes in the winter.
Yeah.
But here we've got a 10-month planting season.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff doesn't grow well in the summer, but if you get it planted in the spring, then
mm-hmm.
then you can harvest in summer. And I've got some starter bushes on order as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out you can't ship a blueberry bush to Georgia.
You
I
can,
don't.
you can't.
You cannot.
Okay.
I was hoping for blueberries, but we're gonna have to find a plant locally if we want to do that. It turns out that getting seeds out of berries is a 3-month process, um,
Oh.
and I don't have that kind of patience.
You? Come on. Don't lie. You brew beer. Come on. You got patience. No. At least you did a while.
Yeah, well, I got a batch that we're
Yeah.
working through and planning after we get a couple of house projects done, planning to
Hmm.
get another batch on that'll be a 10-12 week crew
Cool.
probably.
At least you don't just have to sit there and watch it, though. I mean, seeds
Right,
got to be a
but
problem.
like seeds, like to get seeds out of blueberries, like you have to pulp the blueberries and then drain them and freeze them and dry them um, and then when the seeds have been sufficiently like pulled out of the berries and then dried out, then you can plant them.
Got it. Yeah.
So it's not a
Amazon.
months long process to get. It's well, like I said, you can't ship them, so you got to find them locally.
Oh, you can't ship the seeds? I know you can't ship the plant. No.
You
Oh,
can't ship
oh, well, there
them.
you go.
Yeah,
See
you
what I
can't
know.
ship them to Georgia. So anyway, so I've got some loganberries coming. I got some strawberries coming. I got some figs coming,
But no blueberries.
but no blueberries.
Oh,
Which is
well.
all right. We'll just keep buying blueberries at the store.
Oh, Bubba, you going to plant any mint this year?
I'm probably, I haven't tried to grow herbs here, um, and I guess if I plant them early enough, that I could probably rely on them. Our summers are hot here.
Mm, yeah, I know. Starting early.
Yeah, so I don't know how well. Yeah, I know that mint will grow in our zone. So
Hmm.
it's just a matter of when you get it in the ground. I don't think I could put it in the ground now
Hmm.
and expect it to do very well. It would probably wilt.
All right.
It wilt like Kelvin in 110-degree weather.
Yeah, that's not a pretty sight. Not that's not
Yeah,
pretty at all.
you can't revive a mint plant
No,
with a
man.
nice cold beer.
No, not so much. Not so much. We'll work on that, but well, good. Well, so there's good stuff happening in the middle of all this other crazy stuff. And I, on my vitamin K, I've been pointing some of that out. But I tend to, I have a weird kind of positivity. It's not necessarily over the top, but I have a fairly consistent, it's going to be okay level, right? As long as you don't do nothing stupid. Like I don't walk out in the middle of the street and go, oh, he'll stop. I don't do that. They do that in New York City, but not here.
Sometimes they
In
do
New
it.
York
Yeah.
City, there's this big old bus uh, about to go through this sign. These people are walking across in front of this bus, and a couple of people looked up at it, the bus, and kept going. And then the other ones just kept going. And the bus driver said, "You see those people right there? Just looked at the bus." I said, "Yeah." I said, "They're tourists. If they were from New York, they wouldn't have looked. They just walk out." So we don't do that kind of stuff. But finding the good, the positive in every single day that you're still here breathing, moving on your own power is something I'm good at. It ain't got to be
Yeah.
big. Positive can be small, but positive is positive. So
Yeah, and look at
kind of
this
where I
as an
live.
opportunity to try something new and pick up good habits because right now a lot of us have the opportunity to um, actually sit and reflect. And if you can, you know, turn the news off long enough, if you can turn the fear off long enough to uh, really sit down and make some space for yourself, it's a really
Yeah,
good time to plant some seeds for the next for the future. I mean, not for the next anything, for the
that's it.
future
Like
in
what's
general.
what's I did a thing the other day that said, people used to complain about mundane Mondays and mundane days. So with all the stuff that's been happening lately, like what would you what would you like your mundane to look like, in a month?
Yeah,
Bring that mundane thing back so we don't have to
yeah.
worry about this stuff.
You know what a synonym for mundane is?
What's that?
Routine.
I'll let you go for that. Yeah.
Yeah, routine is a synonym for mundane, and we talk about routines all the time. Yeah, it doesn't have to be boring. Slow and steady wins the race, right?
That's what they say. I'm still slow and steadying on some things. I'll let you know how that's working out for me.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
thanks for being here. Thanks to our friends at Kettle and Fire for boiling animal bones, not live animals. Uh, kettleandfire.com, code BetterHumanhood. We'll get you 10% off at checkout. jkwdpodcast.com for all your JKW podcast needs. Oh, and hey, let's give a shout out over to my friend Peter Seraphine over at the Liberty Lighthouse podcast who had me on. Hopefully that'll be up by the time you hear this. We'll throw a link to that in the show notes. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends, and we will see you next week. Bye.
A Better Humanhood production.